My liver's all twisted up. But you know what I did? I loaded up with alcohol, more specifically vodka, whiskey, beer, tequila, more beer, more vodka, more whiskey, and more beer.
Have any saloons down there?
Well, that I don't know.
Has that bum ever smoked a cigar?
I doubt it.
How many cases of beer a day does he drink?
I wouldn't even venture.
Does he do the polka?
Why do you want that beer so bad?
Because he's thirsty, dummy.
Oh, wait. You take it to him. No, you. No. You take it. I'm gonna let go. I'm letting go of the beer. You taking it?
No.
I'm letting go.
I'm letting go.
Okay, let go.
Okay, fine. Dad, Bob broke your beer.
No, I didn't. Doug broke it.
So I'm gonna start getting ready for him. I'm gonna start eating 6 pounds of Polish sausage today, increase my beer from a case to a case and a half, and I'm gonna eat a lot of mashed potatoes and gravy.
Hey, who wants to play Drink the Beer?
Right here.
You win!
All right, what do I win?
Another beer!
Barney, don't steal any beer while I'm gone.
What kind of pathetic drunk do you take me for? Somebody spilled beer in this ashtray.
Come on, let's go drink till we can't feel feelings anymore.
Honestly, it's called To Hell With My Liver.
Somebody give me a shot.
Yeah, izzypresley at yahoo.com is your PayPal. And of course, the Cash App is $izzy.presley and real Izzy Presley on the Venmo. So yeah, all right, we're all caught up. Very cool. This is the Aerosmith version of the podcast, the Drunken Summit. I have with me Phil Shouse again from the Frehley and Gene Simmons and Accept bands. I've got Dave Rude, very first appearance.
Guys.
Welcome from Tesla and the Dave Rude Band, and from Three Sides of the Coin with the Kiss in his background. And Phil, you guys have the same jacket. Mark Cicchini, everybody.
Mine belonged to Peter.
He's got Peter's old jacket.
That's fucking great. How we doing, everybody?
Well, I just finished the 2-hour fucking marathon of Three Sides of the Coin about 20 minutes ago. My daughter and wife made cookies, so I ran upstairs, got cookies, and brought some milk down. And I'm ready to talk some A. Smith, because they're one of my favorites of all time.
I love it. Dave, how you doing, man? You're stuck in the Hotel California.
Big time, dude. Yeah, it's crazy.
You know, Dave, it's funny. I don't know if I think I've told you this before, but I interviewed you. God, it was like when I first got into radio about 2012. And I think it was before you guys were doing Halfway Jam in central Minnesota. Yeah. But if you go back, and I know I mentioned this, if you go back and watch that DVD from The Myth, I was, I think, the only photographer in the pit.
Crazy.
And you see my little fucking ginger head bouncing around in there. It's kind of fun.
So you live in LA now, right?
Yeah.
But you're from Minnesota.
I am.
Ah, cool. Where in Minnesota?
St. Cloud.
You from St. Cloud, from Halfway Jam Town?
Yeah.
Dude,
absolutely.
What's it? Is it not no, Electric
Fetus.
Electric Fetus. That's it. There's one in St. Cloud.
Yes, there is.
That one is awesome. And then there was the one in Minneapolis, but both of those ones are great.
Right.
We did that St. Cloud show. My wife was with us for some reason on that trip, and I remember going with her, and we bought a bunch of shit at that store. It was really cool.
Yeah, dude, it's a fucking great store. So, I'm gonna be completely honest with everybody. I am not the biggest Aerosmith fan in the world. The reason I thought Aerosmith would be cool is because I was watching American Pickers, and the episode where they delivered the van was on, and I'm like, fucking Aerosmith. And
they got the van at the Vegas residency. I went to that a few end of last year, and they got a van like in this museum place.
Nice. And then a couple months ago, for one of my roommate's birthday, I was at Amoeba, and I bought him Draw the Line for like $2, and it had the insert in there, the fucking the order form insert and all that shit. It's like, and I listened to it before I gave it. It's like, fuck, this is really fucking awesome.
That's actually my favorite. That's my favorite studio album by them.
Really?
And that's like one of the bad ones people say, and it's like, that album's fucking awesome.
Dude,
there isn't a bad one.
Sight the Soul Eyes. That whole fucking record.
Critical Mass.
Critical Mass, Kings and Queens.
You can just go on and on. I mean, even Bright Light Fright and
Hand That Feeds.
That whole fucking record. You know what? I think I'm 54, and that album to me, because, you know, just being, you know, I believe everybody here is an American citizen. You know, Aerosmith was a great American band, and I was heavily into Kiss and just starting to get into Aerosmith. And Draw the Line, I think, is special just for the fact that I already knew, like, you know, Dream On and Walk This Way and everything, because it was on, you know, AM radio, because AM radio was real big. Mm-hmm. But Draw the Line was the first album by Aerosmith that I bought when it was new. So that one's always special to me. Just like with the Stones, you know, you already had Jumpin' Jack Flash, all that stuff. But I remember when Some Girls came out in the summer of '78, and I bought that with my own money. So that was like my starting point. And then, you know, you go back a little bit. So yeah, I just have a soft spot for Draw the Line, and more so than that, like we were just talking, the fucking songs are incredible.
Oh yeah.
We forgot one. I Want to Know Why is like.
Oh yeah.
One of their greatest tunes. It's like
Such
it's them doing like
progression. I love that shit.
Yeah, it's like all this really strange stuff that doesn't sound weird until you learn it, and you're like, oh, whoa, it's totally changes
Right?
around.
And we forgot the cover. The fucking
Milk Cow Blues. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And then the Texas Jam footage of them jamming that with Nugent.
Yeah, with Nugent. Yeah, fantastic.
I've never seen that.
Oh, it's killer.
Yeah,
it's killer.
78 Texas Jam.
Yeah,
I gravitated towards that one. I'm 44, so when my brother had that, I was like 2 and 3. My older brother was a huge fan. It's his favorite band. So scrolling through that, I had the cartoon album cover. So that, of course, attracted me as a 3-year-old kid. It's like, well, whatever that is, I like it. And then Toys in the Attic, that had the word toys in it. So it's like, well, this is, you know, maybe it was like the first band in his collection, in his alphabetical collection. Like, well, hey, I'll start here. You know, I don't know, maybe that was it. But they were my first favorite band at 3 years old. So,
Dave, what was your first Aerosmith experience?
You know, I mean, kind of like you were saying about getting in Draw the Line, because that was the new record at the time. I'm 41, so I missed the glory days as they were happening. Well, you know, I'm a huge Aerosmith guy. They're one of my favorite bands ever. And I like all of it. I like both. I kind of look at it the two eras, right? And so I came in when they were biggest band in the world the second time, the Desmond Child stuff. So I came in with my first record that I bought by them when it was a new record was Pump. And you know, like Love in an Elevator was like a #1 single or whatever. It's like, wow.
Great record.
That record is flawless.
Well, look at the time. Great being on the show. You guys were a lot of fun.
Yeah. That was my first tour. When I saw him for the first time was Pump.
Oh man.
No, that was my I'm getting off the bus now tour.
Yeah. I still listen to that one. FINE, Young Lust.
Voodoo Medicine Man could be one of the greatest Aerosmith songs of all time. That record to me is just so overproduced. I actually put that on the other day for the first time. Matter of fact, about a week ago, and I bet you I haven't listened to that record in 20 years, or however long it's been since that came out. And it still sounded just as plastic to me. And that's the funny part, because like Fine that's a great rockin' tune, but you can tell like the drums, it's got that, you know, if he's not playing with a click, it's a drum machine. I mean, it doesn't have the soul that, again, you know, as Izzy knows, because, you know, I'm on 3 sides. I always like to say timeline is everything.
Right.
You know, like I said, I was full in all on. If you would have asked me in the summer of '77, I mean, Kiss was, you know, everything to me, but Aerosmith was close second, you know, along with Ted, and you know, that was where I was at that time. So for many ways, you know, I jumped on the bus, you know, in the mid '70s, and in real time, that album to me, because I kind of tolerated Permanent Vacation. There's some great stuff on her, but you know, I didn't like the way it started to sound. Because if you go back just a couple records, and say what you will about, as my friends and I call the bogus Aerosmith, but that fucking Rockin' a Hard Place is the shit, boy. I mean, listen to
That's the one. I was doing that today, and I listened to Night in the Ruts. Fantastic.
Phenomenal.
Listen, Done with Mirrors. I love Done with Mirrors. And Rockin' a Hard Place, I couldn't finish. I was like, I couldn't do it.
Love
songwriting in
that.
there. I couldn't do it. It's like the only one. It's like after Get a Grip, I really don't know much anymore about the records. Get a Grip was the last record that I really kind of got into. But as far as like those three first out of the gate in the 80s, like I think Pump's the best one. Like out of Permanent Vacation, Pump, Get a Grip. I thought Pump sounded slamming. The songs are great.
Yeah.
What It Takes, Monkey on My Back, Other Side, like all that stuff. I think is great. It's all Steven. It's a lot of Steven overdub vocals and a lot of different sounds. I think fucking songs are awesome.
Well, it's funny because Mark I think Mark, you're the only one here that saw that quote unquote fake version of Aerosmith.
It's so much. I'll give you a great example. Some of the songs that Phil just mentioned too, they didn't write, and you can tell.
Right.
The band I fell in love with.
They wrote them. Desmond wrote them with them. That's why.
Right.
Yeah, like co-writing.
Yeah.
Look, the band that I fell in love with doesn't sound like that. The band that I fell in love with didn't have that over-processed tones. It didn't have
Nobody did in 70. I mean, the over-processed was Boston. And we still love that one. You know, that was over-processed in those days. And it just, it changed with the times.
Well, I think
here's the ultimate Aerosmith screw-up. And I'll give you an example. How in the fuck did Aerosmith screw up a blues album? I'll tell you why. I'll tell you exactly how. They put pump-like production on a blues record. Whereas the Rolling Stones, when they just did that, that red and black and whatever that thing they did just like a couple, 3 years ago, that was authentic. They could tell they were using analog tape. That's what Aerosmith should have done. Instead, Steven Tyler kept the fucking production like a 2000, almost like a Carrie Underwood sort of production on a blues record. That's how fucked in the head he is now. I'm sorry.
I never got that one. I never heard. I never heard one.
I was
song
so excited, Phil, when they said they're going to do a blues record because I love all their old blues covers. They were just fucking great at them, and especially, again, maybe it's my age. I was so into the Joe Perry project, it wasn't even funny. Plus, I was 15 in 1980 when that came out. That was like aimed right at me. And here in Detroit, they got a ton of airplay. And fucking Joe Perry was here every week, it seemed. He was always here. He played here a ton. And the first time I saw the Joe Perry project, you're going to love this, Izzy, he was opening for Alice Cooper on the Special Forces tour.
Oh, wow.
That was an insane fucking bill. And that was one of the greatest, nights of rock and roll for me. And I've had a lot of them, fortunately. But Joe Perry just still had that attitude and that sound. And if you listen to the version of, Let the Music Do the Talking, I cannot even stomach the Aerosmith version. Those lyrics that Steven changed sound like a 5-year-old did them. They don't, the song, the original one from 1980, Joe Perry Project, the song had a lot of urgency to it. The slide was a lot better. It was a lot harder and more of a rockin' tune. Again, for me, later period Aerosmith, they just kind of lost their way. That's my opinion.
Well, look, this is why I love we have Dave on here because that's Dave's era.
No, but that's the beauty behind what we're doing.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
Well, and so I should say, like, Pump was my introduction to the band, and I loved it. To me, like, I'd heard the name, but I was a kid, so I just got into all this rock at the same time, and it was like, wow, I love this record, and I got into it. And then I went back, and I love the old stuff too. Like Toys, Rocks, all those are some of my favorite records of all time. But I know it's same with Van Halen. Like, there's that divide of people who only like one versus the other, or a little bit. I love both, like, equally. It's just like different. They were different stuff.
Right.
More organic, way more bluesy, raw. Just right, it's versus the pop stuff. But I listen to pop, so I love overproduced stuff. To me, it's just very produced. I like it.
Right.
So mix rock and roll and pop, to me, that's like heaven. But also, the classic real, like, 5 guys in a room writing riffs. When it's working, man, it doesn't get better than that either. So and they just had it. They were and still are. I mean, I saw them at that Vegas thing right before Thanksgiving. It was amazing. Like, it was
amazing.
So good.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And then one other thing, I think one of their most underrated records that I listened to the whole thing today twice. Night in the Ruts. Every song is
phenomenal.
Fucking killer.
Killer. And
No Surprise, Chiquita.
Dude,
like all those songs are awesome.
All of it, dude.
That Yardbirds cover is just fucking insane on that.
Yeah, think about it. It's awesome. Yeah.
And I think that's Jimmy Crespo, not. I think that's Crespo on the solo, because that solo in that song is insane.
I think that record didn't get huge, at least in part because it was kind of in between, because Perry's on some of it and Jim Crespo's on some of it, and they were kind of splintering, and it didn't really there was no big hit. Although, I mean, they still play Walking in the Sand on the radio sometimes. Like, it's not like it had no hits. It just
Here
wasn't.
in Detroit, that was a pretty big, again, growing up, I was a big, radio was everything to me. That Walking in the Sand got quite a bit of airplay here in Detroit.
Yeah. It did. Yeah. More recently, but just top to bottom, I love that record, man. And every song is so good.
Yeah, I was
lucky.
Every tune.
Yeah, I got to see them with Crespo twice, and I thought they were great. You know, I saw that tour, and I saw the again. This is just the vernacular of being a Detroiter. We always called them the bogus arrow. That's how my friends and I always referred to that. You know, not Night in the Ruts, the Rock in a Hard Place. That tour was great. I saw that tour twice.
Jimmy Crespo was great. Like I didn't. Oh yeah.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say it's funny. I didn't know that Michael Anthony joined. Either, so.
He was in the band. Yeah.
but I tell you what, that era of the band though was just a really. It was just like seeing them. You know, if you. They had that raw swagger to them, you know. It was really. And here's the thing, Phil. I'm kind of surprised that you said you couldn't get through that, because I think songs like Cheshire Cat and especially Jailbait. Jailbait is just insane.
It starts off great. Jailbait's good. Lightning Strikes is pretty cool, and then for me, it just kind of went down. I was like, man, because I listened to it back to back. I listened to it Not in the Ruts, and I was kind of listening to the Lost records, like those in the middle ones, like Technical Ecstasy, Never Say Die, like that. They never get in the conversation. These records don't either. I'm like, okay, so back to back, like right after Night in the Ruts, it was like, oh man, this isn't near as good. So
I would say Night in the Ruts is better, but it's still really. Also too, I've got most of those songs because I'm a big bootleg collector. I've got most of that record they played live at one point or another.
Yeah.
And it all worked.
Smaller theaters too. In those years with Crespo and DeFay, they were doing. You could see them in the theater. Mm-hmm. Like you can see them. They were doing smaller venues. I mean, that had to be. I mean, still seeing those guys in the theater would be rad, regardless who's in the band.
You guys do know that most of Classics Live is with Jimmy Crespo.
Really?
Yes.
Because that was funny. Because that was my first Aerosmith record.
Almost
Classics Live.
I think because Kings and Queens, I think, is on that. Yeah. And that was the only one that was recorded in like 77. The rest of that record is all from, you know what's the silly part? About a year ago, I was going through a bunch of Aerosmith stuff, and I broke that stuff down on paper. And those shows...
Of course you did.
Of course I did. But those shows are, I believe, are from Boston. There's a very famous bootleg. You know, if I had my iPod's upstairs, I'm too fat and fucking lazy to go up and get it. But I can tell you the name of the bootlegs that it was on, because those were radio broadcasts.
Really?
Yes. And you know, when we're done, Izzy, like tomorrow or something, I'll send you the links to.
Oh, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, that again, because a lot of people don't know that. But Classics Live. Well, the second one's all Joe Perry. The first one's not. The first one, I think, all but one song. And I A-B'd the God, there's at least two songs on there. He says like he references like Dufay or something, and it's cut off the.
Really?
Yes. Because, you know, he does that stupid little speech on Classics Live, the whatever rock and roll is, whatever.
Yeah.
As he starts the song, It's the same exact, so it's not like, a different take. It's the same exact one. And later on the radio podcast, yeah, that's the bogus arrow on that.
Are you guys gonna hate me that my very first exposure to Aerosmith was the Run DMC video?
God, yes, it's been a great night.
Me too. I was thinking about that because like I'd already been into them. I was 11 when that came. 86, right? Was it 80? What year was it? 85? 10 or 11 then. And I'd already been a fan, and they disappeared and came back. And then it was like, who have you heard about new band Aerosmith? All my friends were like talking about this brand new band, and I was a 10-year-old snob going, that is nothing, I was the record store guy at 10 years old. I was already that.
You were already like, I liked them before they sold out. When you were
yeah, exactly. What? They're not new.
Well, yeah, it was. I heard that. Well, it's funny though that I heard that, and then I heard the original version. I'm like, dude, this isn't fucking cool. Like this fucking Run DMC one. This is dumb. And now it's like the exact opposite. But I still have a soft place in my heart for it.
You listen to it with Sebastian Bach?
Yeah. It's like, dude, what the fuck?
Well, you know what though? The overdubs that Joe Perry does on the Run DMC ones are cooler. There's like he does these extra chords that aren't on the record. I mean,
oh my god!
But the Run DMC one has great guitar. Have you ever seen the outro one where he does like 3 minutes unaccompanied guitar solo?
No.
It's usually good. They just let Joe Perry jam at the end. It's like the dance mix. It's the greatest guitar.
The dance mix. It's all guitar solo. I wish those were the fucking dance mixes now.
Well, I tell you what. Speaking of Joe Perry, all kidding aside, have you two, well, three counting Izzy, are you guys students of the Joe Perry project stuff?
Oh yeah, that's good stuff.
I think I've got a couple. I don't spin them a lot, but yeah.
The first one's the best. They kind of go in descending order, but Mark Bell, actually, the only reason he went by Mock is because Mark Bell is Marky Bell, who went on to be Marky Ramone, and he didn't want to be. So anyways, Mark Bell just wrote a book, and that book is fantastic, but it's all about touring, with the Joe Perry project, and that's my least favorite Joe Perry project album, the Once a Rocker, Always a Rocker, but I love the title track. That one, and you can see why when you read his book. I mean, Joe was literally sleeping on his manager's couch. He was basically homeless. And he said just what in bad shape he was. But the first two are just, rock and roll dynamite. I love both of those records. And again, too, when those came out, I was 16, 17, and that was right in my fucking wheelhouse, man. That was, go ahead.
Was it I've Got the Rock and Rolls Again?
Yes. Yes, it's the second one.
Is that the second one? Okay.
Yeah, Let the Music Do the Talking's the first one. Got the Rock and Rolls. And that's got East Coast, West Coast on it, which I absolutely love that fucking song.
Okay. And, that's the board meeting, right?
No, the board meeting's the first run. That's Let the Music Do the Talking.
Okay, gotcha.
I see.
But yeah. And like I said, just... he seemed to be here at a club we have here called Harpo's, which is a total shithole, but he seemed to be there, it seemed.
You're in Providence?
No, Detroit.
Detroit.
Okay. And, he seemed to be there a lot, and he was always on, opening shows and stuff. So he was, I love those records. I love Joe Perry's one of my favorite guitar players too. Although I unfortunately, I think Brad's every bit as good as he is. He just doesn't.
Oh, absolutely.
He's underrated.
Man.
Oh yeah, huge.
Oh.
Brad is.
Well, it's funny. It's like
the X Factor.
We talk about that, but then those classic records that fucking Joe didn't fucking play the solo song because he was fucked up and not good enough.
That was what the hell, bringing in Dick Wagner and Steve Hunter.
Steve Hunter.
I think it was just Wagner played on the studio part of Train Kept a Rollin'. The rest of it's Joe Perry.
Oh, okay.
There's one more song, at least one more song on Get Your Wings that those guys aren't on. And I can't think of, I'm not sure what it is. But Get Your Wings, I think Wagner and Hunter are on some more of that stuff besides
Yeah, I think you're right. I can't remember to pinpoint it, but
maybe Same Old Song and Dance.
There's a lot.
Could be.
You just listen and see when it's like really technically proficient and pretty fast, it's super clean. Like
that's it. It's like it's not Brad, but because Brad was the cleaner guy. It's like, well, it's not Brad, but it doesn't sound so. I think it was those two tunes on Get Your Wings, and then I don't know if they ever had another replacement on after that, but that's all I know of. So yeah, because that one sounds different anyway. That one sounds, that's a cleaner sound on that one from the first album than that one is a very different sound, and then the rest of them are kind of cohesive.
Yeah, you're absolutely. That's one thing I've said. Obviously, it was economics. The first one sounds like demo tapes. I mean, because they didn't have any money, and you know how close they got to being dropped, don't you? No. You know, that's another thing. Again, maybe because I'm the elder statesman here. You know, Dream On was not a hit. Dream On was a hit after Walk This Way became a hit. Yeah. It was a minor hit. They were going to drop Aerosmith, and I forget the exact story, but they basically begged them to do the second one, and it was so cheap they kept them. And then, and that record didn't really set the world on fire either. They were pretty much in the same situation Rush was in when they did 2112. It was like, look, you got one more to do, and then you're done, and it hit. And that was the same thing with Toys in the Attic. It hit. Their career was kind of stalled at the time. Yeah. And they hit, and once Walk This Way was big, then they dipped back and went, hey, this Dream On song, because go ahead, and I think you can wiki it. You'll see that Dream On was a hit in 76. It was released in 73.
Oh, wow.
So, so again, and that, that's the one thing, especially, the way that, is there even a record industry left? But, before they let those bands build a catalog, and, the Rush was no different than Aerosmith there too, Next thing you know, you have a whole bunch of back records to go and rediscover, and here's something I want to pick everyone's brain with.
Hey, Mark, let's hold that for a minute. We're going to take a break. First half of the show brought to you by Beater Amplification. 2 E's, beateramplification.com. Hand-wired, hand-built, 100 watts of testicular fortitude, 3 channels. These things are fucking amazing. Dave, next time we can be adults and you're in LA, you got to come by and play this bad boy. It is fucking sick. Hit them up, beateramplification.com. In just a little while, the Izzy Presley TCB1 will be available. It is going to be fucking badass. Also, Mackie, our good friends over at Mackie, you're looking to get into home recording and home podcasting and all that kind of good shit. Hit up Mackie.com. That's Mackie. Check out these studio bundles. They are fucking badass. I got a couple commercials to play. We'll be right back with Dave Rude, Phil Shouse, and Mark Cicchini on another fucking podcast. It is the Drunken Summit, and we are talking fucking Aerosmith, baby. Rockwood Saloon Authentic Apparel takes rock and roll fashion to a new level with their tees and tanks for men and women. They also make custom shirts, jackets, vests, pants, hoodies, beanies, and more. The Rockwood Graphics Department can design anything from your logo, t-shirt design, promo posters, band swag, and printed at great prices. From tour shirts and custom stage gear to killer threads for the street to the stage, Rockwood Saloon has it all. Rockwood Saloon, authentic rock and roll apparel for stage and street. World tour tested for quality, comfort, style, and durability. Check them out at www.rockwoodsaloon.com. That's rockwoodsaloon.com.
If you need to promote your band or business, or just want to stylize, personalize, or customize your ride, check out vid-decals.com. Want to create and customize your own stickers representing your band, or make your own bumper sticker? Vid Decals can do it. All stickers are printed on quality vinyl and can be placed on any flat surface. Stickers are an affordable way to promote your band or business. Go to vid-decals.com to get started. That's vid-decals.com. vid-decals.com.
Retro Arcade brings Minnesota and surrounding areas arcade games from the days gone by. All of those great games from pizza joints and arcades are available in cocktail units and custom machines. Dozens of favorites from your youth in one machine to complete your game room or man cave. Retro Arcade also sells and services your favorite pinball machines. Find them at facebook.com/80arcade. That's facebook.com/80arcade. Retro Arcade. Your youth is just one click away.
Hey, what's going on? This is Tom Arnold. I like fat women and cocaine. And you're listening to Izzy Presley here on another fucking podcast. And I know Izzy from Cocaine Anonymous meetings. I've actually seen him at the meetings with Ace Von Johnson from, I probably shouldn't say this out loud, but Ace has got a bad coke problem. And his sponsor is Josh Todd from, and again, I shouldn't say this out loud, but Josh is his sponsor for Buck Cherry. He's addicted to upskirt porn. And they're both being sponsored by the Eagles. The whole band, the Eagles. Anyways, another fucking podcast right here with Izzy Presley, and call your sponsor. Fucking A.
Oh my God. Craig Gass fucking rules. Second half of the show brought to you by A&P Laser. These guys are fucking great. They're out of central Minnesota. So Mark, you got to bring your sidearm up to central Minnesota and get something laser engraved on your sidearm or your handcuffs, whatever you like. These guys are so good they can even laser engrave a hot dog bun. But Mother's Day is coming up. Hit them up, aplaser.com. Get mommy something nice and laser engraved for her birthday or Mother's Day, because it's Mother's Day we're talking about. And also John Palumbo. We love us some John Palumbo over here at Another Effing Podcast. John Palumbo Design. You have a band, you have a website you need done, you have a new business, you need a logo done. Hit up our good buddy John Palumbo, johnpalumbodesign.com. All right. So we are back, and Mark, before you get into your point, I actually, Dave, I have a question for you off of the live chat. I'm just going to get to a couple of these comments in here before I get to that question. Scotty says, hello from Canada, balmy 55 degrees up here in northern British Columbia. That sucks. Blake Stone said his first concert was Permanent Vacation. And Jennifer asks a question. This is for you, Dave. She goes, in the 80s in the Sand still going to be happen in October in Cancun. Have you heard anything? Will only book if Tesla stays on the bill. So hard to say right now.
I haven't heard anything, man. I know I was supposed to be on tour right now. I still see it on my iCal. It hurts my heart every time I look at my calendar. It's like, oh, I'm supposed to be in New Mexico right now. Fantastic. But that got canceled, and then we were going to go out this big Alice Cooper tour all summer. It was going to be so cool, and I know that's canceled. Past Alice Cooper, I don't know what has been canceled or not. So
it's October and it's Mexico, so I bet you it's probably going to happen.
Hope so. I really hope so.
Mark, so you were going to bring something up before the break.
Yeah, to you guys, one of the Aerosmith albums that always gets tons of accolades, and I love it. Don't get me wrong, it's a 10 out of 10. But I've never been crazy about the sound of Rocks. It just sounds kind of muddy to me. I don't get me wrong, 10 out of 10. Love the record. The songs are just incredible. But I always thought that was one of Jack Douglas's weaker production efforts. That's just strictly my opinion. What do you guys think of that?
That's my number one Aerosmith record. I think every note is placed perfectly. Everything is absolutely awesome, and you're right. It is a strange production. I do dig it, but it doesn't sound like other records of the time, and neither did Toys. That's one thing I kind of liked about Aerosmith, is because if you put them in with their peers, with Kiss, Zeppelin, Stones, The Who, all these other incredible rock bands, Aerosmith records sounded like Aerosmith records. It didn't sound like a rock production. It was like very unique to them, and where every record did sound different, but it always had this kind of stamp on it. I don't know, but it was very different. The guitar sounded very interesting. You still can't really go, oh yeah, Les Paul with a Marshall. Like, wait, what? No, what is it? You can't tell what gear it is, which normally you can. That was what always with Aerosmith records with me was guitars. Like, what are they playing through? Like, that was with me. Do you agree, Dave? Like with all of those old records?
I think yeah, they definitely had a sound, and I love the sound of all the records. And yeah, Rocks is one of the best records, by anyone ever. So for sure, it's perfect. But I think I like the sound. It's not like I dislike it, but it's not the best sounding record. You know what I mean? The songs are so great, and it's just so cool. I'm one of those dudes. I don't care. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
when it sounds bad, if the song is so good, I usually don't notice it until after. I'm like, wow, I love that song. And I'm like, God, it doesn't really sound that good. But like, you know, like I'm taken over by the song first.
Oh.
But you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I just Toys in the Attic, the sound it's kind of small. You know, I don't know. I mean, I love it, but none of it is like, oh, that's just the perfect example of a guitar recording. You know what I mean? Like, it's just more that the whole package is so good that you enjoy listening to it.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's a little weird. Honest to God, part of Night in the Ruts, I was like, I really like the sound on this. Like, today, not to harp on that record, but like sonically, there was some big airiness to it. I was like, oh, that sounds really fat and high def, but it still just sounds like a big drum kit in a room and a guitar amp, you know?
Yeah,
right.
Really clean guitars. Always had good, clean, like really clean guitar tones.
Oh yeah,
not a lot of hair on them.
This is the thing about Aerosmith. It's like, especially those early records. You know, when the next record came out, people would go, "Well, what does it sound like? It sounds like fucking Aerosmith."
Yeah.
You know, the one thing that Aerosmith doesn't get enough credit for, or at least when you talk about Kiss, I even in the most casual situations. Kiss Alive 2, the live band trumps the freaking studio stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think Bootleg should be right in there with that whole album. I tell you, especially that call and response at the end of Lord of the Thighs, where they're playing that, almost like that rattlesnake shake lift. You know, Tyler and Perry do this call and response. It doesn't breeze hair. I mean, it stands the hair up on my arms every time I hear it, and I've heard it 1 billion times. That record is so goddamn good. It's not funny. And it doesn't get, put it this way, when people start going, they go, you know, Frampton Comes Alive and Kiss Alive and Made in Japan. Dude, what about fucking Live Bootleg?
Live Bootleg's actually live.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Because it was literally, if you guys don't know, the listeners, that all those songs from that were taken off of radio broadcast and actual fucking bootlegs.
And I own a good chunk of the radio broadcast.
Of course you do.
I was talking to my older brother about doing this thing tonight, and he said, man, I remember in '78 in a reading in a magazine that the new Aerosmith record was coming out, you know, the next week. He's like, I ran down to the record store. He's like, it was a live record. I was so bummed. He's like, it wasn't an original, like a new original song. It was like,
right.
Oh man.
How can you get bummed about a live? Even with the new live records, I still don't get bummed when a live record comes out. I want to hear it because I want to hear the different takes on it.
He didn't know back then. It was
right.
Aerosmith record period. It's like, oh, new Aerosmith songs, awesome. Oh, I know all these.
Yeah, but you did get the fucking the James Brown Mother Popcorn, you know, which just fucking smokes on that.
And Chip Away the Stone is on there for the first time.
Which at the time, I remember as a kid, I bought that on 45 because it didn't come out on record till Gems.
Yeah, right. It was on the record till then, the studio record. Yeah,
that is actually the same reason that I bought the fucking 1980 Greatest Hits, because that was the only way to get Come Together. Because I didn't buy the fucking Sgt. Pepper.
Oh yeah, that's right.
You couldn't get that unless you bought the Greatest Hits record. So I remember that was another thing too. I don't know how familiar you guys are with that record, but they're the single edits. So like Sweet Emotion is totally fucked on it.
Yeah.
And even Same Old Song and Dance has got the part of the riff cut off, and you know. I just remember when I bought it, I'm like, "No, that sucks." I wouldn't even, because I already had the records. But when you're a kid, you're still putting it on, and you're like, I bought that just because it had the Beatles cover on it. And
right.
That was
right.
Got it.
Just to hold on, just to get off Aerosmith, I got another question for Dave in the chat room here. And actually, this has to do with. I mean, there's a good reason you came on, is because you guys just have a fucking record that came out, a live record that came out live at Abbey Road. Scotty from Canada wants to know, because he just bought it and he fucking loves it. How was it when you found out you're going to London, not only to record, but to do a live show at Abbey Road?
Dude, it was outrageous. Like, it still blows my mind. Like, because now, the record just came out, so people have been posting pictures, and sometimes I'll see the photo come pop. I'm like, Jesus Christ, it's really surreal because I mean, everyone's a huge Beatles fan, obviously, but like,
right.
So many other huge records were made there, like countless for decades, and so like I saw a picture yesterday of John Bon Jovi walking out of there, and I was like, that's great, like. And he was probably like, holy shit, I'm at Abbey Road. Like, everyone thinks that when they go there, And so to see a picture of us there, it still just doesn't feel real. It was amazing. I mean, you walk up those steps. We took a picture, I think, on the back of the record or something, and those are literally the entrance steps, but it feels like this is where every band takes their cool band photo, like on the step.
Right.
It says Abbey Road. It was just mind blowing top to bottom. I mean, like honestly, we're actually a little nervous. Like we don't get nervous, but at least I was. It was weird. Just like, oh man, this, But the studio is huge. The studio is great, and there was, it was a big production. There's cameras on dollies and all this craziness. But
yeah,
it was really fun, and just being able to walk around and look. I mean, they literally have like the Studer tape machines that they made these Beatles records on in the hallway because people don't use tape anymore. So you could like hold them, you're like against them. Like, it was ridiculous.
Wow. Yeah, Dave? Did you feel any weird pressure because of? I mean, obviously the success of the original 5-man acoustical jam. You still being the new guy, and going in, and you're fucking kind of redoing the record, even though you're not. I mean, it's totally different. But was there any weird feelings or pressure coming with that?
No, I mean, because we didn't want to do it as in actually redoing, even though obviously it's paying tribute. That's why we did it. Was like, it's the end of 3. Let's do another one, and it's got the same feel and vibe. And we did the sort of classic songs from the album mixed with newer cuts and stuff. But on that level, no. I mean, we do a lot of acoustic stuff anyways.
Yeah.
We hadn't done a full acoustic tour in a couple years, but we've done that, and so. Actually, it's on the boat is when we've done our last few acoustic shows. So every year or so, we end up doing that, and so it feels really natural and fresh. And
right.
That was 5-man acoustical jam was my first Tesla record as a kid. So that's always been like, it just has felt natural to me. It's part of the thing, So
right.
So, it just was. It felt really good, and it didn't really feel like, oh, we're doing that album again, even though obviously, like I said, it had that big element to it. But the only nerves was just, geez, we're in Abbey Road. Right?
Yeah.
I
suppose, yeah.
In another interview, but it was so true because I was sitting there. I mean, it's a live record, so you didn't really make a record like you go and make a record, but we still made a record because we were right, and it went through the board and it was awesome. But I'm sitting there recording the tracks. I'm staring at the wall, and I'm thinking, this is the wall that like Paul McCartney was staring off at while he's recording these songs. John Lennon probably looked at the same corner as I'm staring off right now. And like, that is really weird.
Right. Yeah. Paul McCartney and actually the fake Paul McCartney after he died. Yada, yada.
But William Shepard was there too. Yeah.
Yes, he was. Yes. Okay. Well, look, watch this segue. So, 5-man acoustical jam, the original one had a couple covers on it. Yeah. What are you guys' favorite Aerosmith covers?
Come Together. I think probably that one. Shit, that one is, man. No, you know what? Think about it. Kick ass.
Good one.
I listened to it today. Yeah, I want to say think about it.
I would off the live record, Milk Cow Blues.
What was the one they did in Tommy? Was that Come Together?
It wasn't Tommy.
It was Sgt. Pepper.
Was it Sgt. Pepper? I don't know why the fuck I thought it was Tommy.
Because you're a retard. That's why.
Oh yeah, I mean. Oh yeah. All right, fine.
They're not gonna do a Beatles song. They're not gonna do a Beatles song in a Who movie.
That's an excellent point. That's an excellent point. You might remember me as
you know what is a really good cover, and I'm going to give you guys this because it was later in the career. It was during I call it the MTV Aerosmith. The Love Me Two Times they did I think there was Armageddon soundtrack, the Doors tune.
Wow, I don't think I ever heard that.
I heard that.
All right, well, it's been great talking to you guys.
Yeah. Wow.
Hey, you know what's really good?
I'm Down is cool too.
What's that?
The Beatles, I'm Down. They did,
they
I'm Down.
Really good version of that too.
Yeah.
Dave, what about you?
Probably. I mean, it's hard to stop. There might be one that I'm missing, but probably Remember Walking in the Sand. I mean, that's a great song. It's a great cover. It sounds like they wrote it.
What about
there's a really cool bootleg that when they did the Unplugged, their Unplugged, that's got some great Smokestack Lightning is on that. You know what, Izzy, you said we're going to get another break, right?
No.
Oh, I thought, you have one commercial break or two?
One.
Oh, okay. Well, I was going to get up because I think I know where that's at. Because
Well, Mark, I've got two other people to talk to. You can run and come back.
No, I was just going to do it so I could just, during a break. Because I wanted to read you the songs. That's really fucking cool.
Go grab it, man.
Put it this way. I don't know if it's where I think it is, but if not, I'll be back in a couple minutes.
All right. Sounds good. All right, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Now we have a chance to get a word in. Mark, I'm kidding. I love you. What about covers of Aerosmith? I'll tell you. While you guys are thinking, I'll tell you mine. Dude, the one I fucking did with Axl Rose when we did fucking Back in the Saddle on Angel Down, the first fucking song. Yes, the Sebastian Bach, Axl Rose version of fucking Back in the Saddle rules.
It's tough with Aerosmith covers because somebody's got to sing. It's not Steven Tyler.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Aerosmith's one of those bands that is almost, if you're not doing Steven Tyler, like the voice, it's kind of impossible to do it. So it's always, I can't think of any that I like or have heard. Actually, me and Jeremy do a really good combination. That one,
song
we do a really good version of that one.
That song is so good. No one ever talks about combination. That's one of my favorite songs on Rocks, man.
Mine too. It's so good. It's such a great tune.
Dude, look, here's a great Aerosmith cover. Dio and Yngwie doing Dream On.
No, it is not. It is horrible.
What?
I don't like that.
But I remember that.
I love it.
I bought that record, and I remember I years ago, right? Because I bought it on CD, and I was like, I can't remember why, but there must have been something else. And then I read the line. I was like, Dio and Nick, oh no, this is not going to be good. And I put it on. I was like, oh man,
I love it.
I was really right.
It's fucking great. Dude, okay, funny story about that. So Stu Hamm was on this show, and Stu Hamm, the iconic fucking bass player.
Oh, good.
If you guys don't know out there who Stu Hamm is, go back and listen to that fucking show. I mean, if you ever hear a bass player try to do the fucking Peanuts thing, that's fucking Stu Hamm. That's who fucking did that. So Stu Hamm was the bass player on that fucking track with Dio and Yngwie. And he said that I can't remember who produced it, but he said whoever produced it said that Yngwie didn't know that it wasn't an instrumental. So he literally played through the
Yngwie thing you could have ever said.
Exactly. And he played through the fucking entire song. And what you hear on the record is them muting Yngwie and then unmuting him when it was time to unmute him.
Oh, that is priceless. Dude.
Oh, that's great.
And that should be his next T-shirt. Like, wait, you mean it's not an instrumental? Right?
They fucking won't see.
I would buy that shirt.
I would too.
I would like
I would too. Mark, we were talking about Aerosmith covers and covers of them.
Train kept it rolling. Fuck, we forgot about that one.
Oh fuck, Big 10-inch.
That's right. Cry Me a River. I love the tour.
Cry Me a River.
That's right.
Yep.
But anyways, this is really cool. It's a bootleg. You can actually find. It's got a little thing. I haven't bought this in a store, but I know it's not official.
Oh, cool. Okay.
But it's this is really good, and it's soundboard all from 1990. So you guys, it's in the later years, but they really did a nice job with that. But while I was digging through some stuff, just because
of course.
Now, do you guys have?
We're getting show and tell. I love it.
You guys have this?
Ooh, what is it? Ooh, wow, the thing.
With the movie, which is an instrumental, and Once Is Enough.
I remember. Okay, I remember the movie.
The Once Is Enough is
Cool.
it's a country tune, and then it kicks into a rockin' tune. You get a this was a Permanent Vacation single. That's why I brought to see. I thought it'd be a little educational.
I love it. I fucking love it.
And then this one here, bonus song. This has what else is on this? Ain't Enough. Are you familiar with that song? Ain't Enough.
That one
from the Pump Sessions.
Okay.
Love the song, so definitely check that out. Now we're getting into this stuff where I'm just going to start crying because it's so fucking off. These are original 70s.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow, nice.
This is when bootlegs didn't, that's all they put in was like a flyer.
Yep.
And I love how they have these weird names, like the Zeppelin ones will have like these strange
yes.
Bangkok Surprise when it was recorded in Peoria, Illinois or something. It makes no sense.
Yeah, well, this one's called "Look Homeward, Angel," and it look at. I don't know if you can read. I don't even know what fucking language that is. This is a big fave of mine too. This one, I like this one a lot. This is from I think Columbus. Yeah, Columbus. Get the Let Out, Mama. Radio broadcast.
Nice.
Matter of fact, parts of this show. Matter of fact, I think it's the Lord of the Thighs I was raving about. This is the master show from that. So.
Oh, from Live Bootleg.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
no,
wow.
not from.
Okay.
Yeah, from my bootleg. So I see, Phil. When you guys were here, you guys were going to come here originally. You didn't have time.
I know.
We could have went through all this stuff.
We never had time.
But yeah, you know, I just love Aerosmith so much, and you know their music just, you know, to this day it's the band that I still play in heavy rotation. But it's funny because I as we were joking about earlier, I'm kind of a hypocrite because much like I love the Later Day Kiss, I didn't like a lot of the 80s stuff, but I waited, because I tell you what, in my heart of hearts, I'd be lying if I said if I didn't like anything after Permanent Vacation. And I really didn't like music from whatever the very last one they did. I was like, it was just brutal. And I remember I went and saw them on the Pump tour, and I said to my wife, I said, I'm done. I'd seen them for so many years, and it just, they were, the MTV stuff was a good chunk of the set, and so I didn't go. And then I think when did they tour with Aerosmith? Or excuse me, when did they tour with Slash? 2016? It was the Let Rock Rule tour, which I still have the poster in the other room. But I was happy to see Aerosmith again because they're one of my favorites. And this broke my heart. I'll never forget this. They play Kings and Queens, and I'm about like freaking out, and like a good chunk of it seemed to be like the Piss Break song, and I'm like, this is the good stuff.
Yeah.
And then they did like whatever What It Takes was next, and then Into the Place, because I'm like, I shouldn't be here at this point. I was literally.
Look, I've only seen them once, and that was when they toured with Kiss. And
I saw that tour too. Yeah.
Good show.
And I mean, they blew Kiss off the fucking stage. I mean, Kiss was good. I mean, that was Tommy, and that's not a rip on Tommy. It wasn't, because I thought Tommy sounded great, but it was going through the motions, and then you got fucking Aerosmith coming out there and just being fucking Aerosmith,
I saw
opened with Mamakin when I saw that. Yeah, I saw it too. They opened Mamakin. The curtain drops, and Tyler was like doing this hop thing. I'm totally clear as day. Me and my mom went like fifth row. Took my mom.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And one thing, it's funny. We've been talking about the music, but one of my favorite things as a kid with all the records was the record sleeves and those tiny photo collages they put on all of them, and I would stare at those things for days and weeks at like 3 or 4 years old, and just mesmerized by that. And then Rocks had one side had tiny microscope pictures, the other side had the cartoon drawing of Aerosmith. That was great. And then you get Live Bootleg, and it has the picture that made me a guitar player, the picture of Joe Perry with 2 guitars on.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
That's why I play guitar because of that.
Wow.
Choreograph. It's like to turn his back, leather pants with the cowboy boots, tie to the midriff, Strat Les Paul. It's like it's back turn to the camera. It's incredible, and they had all those great shots. And you don't understand what cool is at 4. You don't it doesn't register. Whatever it was like, I'm so attracted to this. Like this just feels right, and it's just like I want to do whatever that is. I want to be a part of this.
Yep.
I don't even know what it is, but it just the image of them, like, and whoever did their art was fantastic. So
here we go. Coming in from the chat, Steve Conley says Tesla's version of Seasons of Wither is pretty damn cool.
Oh,
did you play on that?
Yeah, that was my first Tesla record that I joined the band right before.
Oh yeah.
That's one of my all-time favorite Aerosmith songs. So the fact that we ended up covering it was really cool. And on that whole tour for a year, 2 years, we would do that one pretty regularly because it's anyone who knows Aerosmith loves that song. You know,
right.
But it's definitely definitely call it cult fan favorite. Like everyone.
Right.
I mean, that's one of the coolest songs that's ever been written. Jesus. So I got that Brad Whitford feedback thing at the end. Like, that was so good.
Did you guys cover any other Aerosmith?
You know, I know we did that one. I think that's it. I can't remember, man. There was the summer before we made that record, we did hella covers during our show. And because we were working stuff out to see which worked right with the band.
Right.
We might have then, but I don't think we recorded anything. I think it was just Seasons.
Do you have a favorite cover? Go ahead.
Did you bring up the Testament cover when you were talking about Aerosmith covers?
What they cover? Oh, fuck, Nobody's Fault. That's a great one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot all about that.
I forgot about that too.
Fault. That was a single for Testament. That had a video for it. Yeah, that was a great version. Yeah. It's funny, that one, Nobody's Fault, and Round and Round are both Whitford tunes, and those are both the most like metal Aerosmith guys. Like, crushing riff. Those are both Brad Whitford, I think, solo Whitford compositions, I think. But yeah, that's pretty cool. Brad brought the best for those two.
What's that? I fortunately.
Yeah.
You're talking about, how Brad is in many ways the equal or to Joe, but I'm a huge Ted Nugent fan, and Derek St. Holmes is a phenomenal guitar player. I was very fortunate because he was on the Kiss Cruise a couple times, so I got to talk to him in depth about that.
I played bass for him.
Oh yeah, that's right. That was in the atrium.
Yeah, it was me and Brent Fitz on drums and Derek, the power trio.
And you could tell, God bless Brent, you could tell he didn't know some of the catalog all that well because I don't know. And I think he said that to me. He wasn't, it wasn't a big fan growing up, so of Ted, so he didn't know the music. It's not that he played bad, but especially in a song like Stranglehold, there's like some certain drum parts that if you know the song back and forth, because Brent's a phenomenal drummer, he's incredible. But again, you just tell it wasn't stuff that was something that because obviously he knows the Kiss catalog like the back of his hand and all that kind of stuff. So I remember because I briefly talked to him about that, and he said he wasn't a big fan growing up, of that, but I was, especially living here in Detroit. But Aerosmith, was just something here that was. They were always on the radio. They always played a couple nights here. A matter of fact, on the Permanent Vacation tour, I think I saw, what was the name of that band? They went on to Guns N' Roses. Yeah, Guns N' Roses. Right. I saw them.
That's right.
Yeah,
they didn't last. They didn't last very long in that tour, did they?
I saw the one tour with them, but it's funny. Right when Facebook started, I don't know why, because that's before you started taking selfies and stuff. I was just going through some old ticket stubs, and I found that one, and I had Aerosmith and Guns N' Roses, and I had like primo first 20 row seats, $16.50.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
$16.50 for Guns N' Roses and Aerosmith.
Jesus Christ. Well, yeah, it's funny. You look at the ticket prices. My first show was Monsters of Rock, Van Halen, Scorpions, Dokken, Metallica, Kingdom Come, 1988. Stadium, 40th row. We were $25.
Nice.
My first Kiss show was like $14, hot in the shade. You know,
Yeah.
halfway through the fucking lower level.
No.
I miss that shit.
Same thing. I think my Ozzy Metallica ticket was $12.50. I mean, you can't even park for that now.
Right?
That's what a beer costs.
Yeah, no shit.
Like a Miller Lite, like a small Miller Lite.
Exactly, yeah.
I know, it's insane.
All domestic.
We were just talking about that the other day. I saw Iron Maiden on the Number of the Beast tour opening for Judas Priest.
Was Whitesnake the first band?
No, that was it was actually that was God, I can't remember who the first band. It wasn't a big band, but it was, I forget who, Iron Maiden, and that was on the Screaming for Vengeance tour for Judas Priest.
I think it was Point of Entry Priest. It was Paul D. Okay, because it was my buddy saw this in Connecticut. I think it was headlining was Priest on Point of Entry. Then it was Paul Di'Anno, Iron Maiden, and Purple Snake. It was when Ian Pace and John Ward were in
Purple
Whitesnake.
Snake. Wow.
It was like the come and get it lineup, which is my favorite. That's
Me
my
too.
Whitesnake lineup. I love that stuff.
It's good to hear, Phil, because I'm one of those that's totally in the minority. I don't like 87 on Whitesnake.
I dig parts of that, but I definitely prefer the prior catalog, like Love Hunter and Ready and Willin' and all that stuff. Like that's my Whitesnake. I love that.
Love Hunter. How did that song not make it onto FM radio? I'm a love hunter, babe.
I know, man. They have a lot of great. Like, there was. I mean, with early Whitesnake, the songs were so good. Whitesnake covered their own songs later on. Like a lot of tunes, like "Here I Go Again" was.
Oh yeah,
on 2 albums prior.
Yeah, crying in the rain as well.
Crying in the Rain's another one. There's several more that like there was like, this is a good song. We should do this again.
Right. Well, this is what I love. It's like I love how it just kind of rattles off into whatever else we want to fucking talk about. Dave, what was your first show? I mean, it's because I guess I didn't realize that you were younger. Because I'm 40. I mean, you're the young. I'm 47. I'm younger than. Oh, Phil, how old are you?
44.
44. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, so my first show, I kind of came in at the last little couple years of like when 80s rock was still big. Like when I was 11, I got Appetite for Destruction, and that was 1989. So it wasn't new, but it was still new, and that's when everything like changed my world. So I got to be around for all those. That's like Pump was the new record, and Dr. Feelgood and the first Skid Row, all that stuff. So that kind of turned me on to all this. And then, but it was cool because it was the tail end of it. So then, like when Seattle stuff came in, I was still young enough to like be into that too. It wasn't like, I was like, oh, cool, this other band that's called Alice in Chains, I like them too. Like I hadn't like, you know what I mean? The older guys were like more territorial, like, oh, you're ruining our music. Which I get, but I was like, oh, I was too young. I didn't know any better, so I liked it all, which was a good era for, I thought. Because you got to enjoy all of it, but the best of that stuff was what lasted. And my first show was Oakland Arena. It was Poison on the Flesh and Blood tour, with Warrant opening on.
I saw that. I saw the last night of that tour in Minneapolis,
dude. And okay, so and I know both those bands are great guys and everything, but it was not Poison's finest hour because they were going through some. They were going through rougher times, and not everyone was entirely sober. And it was still a great show, but
it was a party. It was fucking awesome.
It was not tight. It was it was a fun show, but like, musically was a little rough. But Warrant was on fire.
Dude, I'm sorry. Anybody that fucking rips on fucking Warrant, fuck off.
Dude.
Those guys fucking throw Janie Lane. Janie Lane is one of the most underrated motherfuckers, and he gets so much shit because of the fucking word. You write those songs. You sing those songs.
Seriously,
fuck off.
Listen, this is the thing that everyone, like, I understand people make fun of them because they had some sort of cheesy elements for sure. But
of course they did.
But dude, those first two records, the songwriting is flawless. And
dude, the third record, Dog Eat Dog, you fuck.
But
there's some great shit on.
This is what you could say to any hater of Warrant is 3 words because you can't beat it. Uncle Tom's Cabin. That song is amazing.
Yeah.
Like it's like prog. Like it's so good, but it hits like every mark. And they get a reputation for Heaven or Cherry Pie, which are pretty
right.
They had kind of bonehead rock. Dude, Uncle Tom's Cabin is deep. It's hard. There's weird arrangement stuff. There's really great production. It's like the lyrics are interesting. It's not about like strippers or anything. Like it's cool. They definitely don't get the credit. Yeah.
Okay, headline on Blabberell tomorrow. Dave Rude compares Warrant to Prague and pisses off Prague.
Mike Portnoy responds.
But look, I mean, if you look at that Cherry Pie record, dude, sure feels good. That song is heavy as fuck. Dude. It's fucking great. And that cover of fucking, was it, oh my God, what was the cover that closed that record out?
Train, right?
Yeah, Train. Dude, it was fucking awesome. Janie Lane can sing like a motherfucker.
Dude,
that fucker. God damn.
Blind Faith and Bed of Roses. Those are really great ballads. And like, if you listen to one of those songs, any of those could be like a modern, if you redid the production, like that could be like a Jason Aldean song or, like they could, any of those ones, a couple of tweaks, those are hits now. Those are they're really well done songs.
Good songwriting, man. That's what it's all about. Mark's gonna punch somebody now.
I cannot believe I've sat through 4 minutes of Warrant talk and I'm still in my chair. It really is that really is an age thing. I just never appreciated that stuff, and I gotta admit, I tried. By that point, I just didn't. Hair metal didn't. I didn't get it. I started going to the metal churches and stuff like that. I was going for the heavier stuff. But of course, there's always, I like Cinderella a lot. I like Faster Pussycat a lot. But, speaking of Aerosmith, matter of fact, we just did 3 sides a couple hours ago with our guest. I was saying how the second Faster Pussycat album really is the greatest Aerosmith album that Aerosmith didn't record. Because if you listen to listen to songs like Where There's a Whip, There's a Way, that's fucking Aerosmith. I mean, there is some hard-ass, bluesy, great playing on that second Faster Pussycat records. Like I said, I didn't just watch with my ears, because I look at a band like Faster Pussycat and I wouldn't think anything and then I heard them and I'm like, wow, this band's really good. They got that great sleazy vibe about them.
Yeah, absolutely.
But see, that again, I didn't, and I'm just being honest, I didn't get that with Warrant. Matter of fact, my band opened for them once too. They're just, I don't know. I just didn't see it. Maybe it's an age thing. But you're talking about shows. I was so lucky with my age, and I think you guys being guitar players. I saw Van Halen on the Women and Children First tour. I saw Ozzy on the Diary of a Madman tour with Randy Rhoads. I saw the Creatures of the Night tour. It was just here in Detroit. We were so lucky. We got all the big shows. And again, seeing Maiden on the Beast tour as an opening band, we got so much great stuff through here. And I got such a great musical education, watching these guys, really in their prime, really, if you think about it. So, and again, too, seeing Aerosmith with the replacement guys and then with the normal band. And, I tell you what, that was a great show when Joe came back. When was that? 84? They just called it the Back in the Saddle tour.
Yeah, with no album to promote, just as a reunion thing. Sure. Yeah.
They sold Pine Knob, which has, it's an amphitheater. Like the whole back of the hill they so oversold that show,
Yeah.
But they were so big here in Detroit. So, just those shows were just magical too, you know. And they were out to prove something. See, that show always reminded me of the Creatures of the Night show with Kiss. Now, I saw Kiss in '79 at the Silverdome, which was in front of 45,000 people in July of '79. But, you know, Kiss at that point on the Dynasty tour, they weren't as hungry. It was just the big bloated thing, you know, and the colors. Well, by the next time they came in Detroit, which was in February of '83, they were playing to 9,000 people at Cobo.
Right.
And when they came out, they had something to fucking prove. And I had that same feeling when I saw Aerosmith in '84 on the Back in the Saddle tour. You could just tell they were just happy to be back together. And we're just going to put on an Aerosmith show. And that is still to this day one of my favorite shows of all time, you know, because they were just into it, man. That was just a great, great concert.
Was that pre-sobriety, or was that like they were
definitely.
Okay. I wasn't sure if that was like after, and then, but I guess Den of Mirrors was the first thing they did with after sobriety. I guess
kind of fighting. You know, it's funny because on this single too, they did 3 live songs off of. They do My Fist Your Face, She's on Fire, and The Hop. All live on this single.
Man, My Fist Your Face it rules.
Isn't that a great
I
song?
that album again today. Man, it's so great. That one.
I've never heard that.
So, oh, dude, it's the second song on Done with Mirrors. It's amazing.
Yeah, all right.
It's so good. I'm trying to that record. I love that one. That one, She's on Fire.
You know, it's weird because that's a Ted Templeman production, and I don't think it was produced all that well.
It's weird. Yeah, I noticed that today. The book, Ted book by Greg Renoff just came out today, which is going to be a good read.
Look, I think Greg's going to be on the show next week for the Van Halen episode.
Oh, cool.
Great. Me and him just kind of started rapping together on Facebook, so that'll be cool.
He's a great dude, yeah.
So
Dave's like, dude, I might have to come back. What the fuck?
Yeah. And so, I was looking today. I was like, I didn't know Ted did that record. So it was another very odd sounding Aerosmith record with Done with Mirrors. But, you know, I love it. I think it's great.
Cool.
I'm surprised, Izzy, you never heard My Fist Your Face.
Does it sound like my fist, your face?
No, because it's cool.
If it gets on the opposite of that, it's the opposite.
All right. Well, dude, it's funny. It's funny because I just did like every Tuesday I do this Facebook Live thing where I play, and the gimmick of it is to tip me to stop. That's your gong, right? So it's not supposed to be good. I'm not trying to be good.
Izzy, I put that on 3 sides today. I swear to God. Next week, if you watch, I put you on fucking screen when you're playing.
What song was it?
Lick It Up.
Oh God, it was terrible.
You were attempting to play Lick It Up.
Oh yeah, I was fucking around with it. Look, this is the funny part about this week. So Stevie Rochelle comes in from Tough and Metal Sludge, one of my good buddies, and he like tipped me to stop, and ironically, the next song was "I Hate Kissing You Goodbye" from Tough, and he had already tipped me on the last song to stop, and he listened to the entire horrible version of "I Hate Kissing You Goodbye." It was awesome.
He already spent his money.
Fucking gold. It's fucking gold. Yeah. It's fun. It's fun. I don't take it seriously. There's a lot of musicians out there that that's what they're doing right now. That's the only income they have coming in. And I'm not making fun of them at all. I'm just having fun and trying to make money at the same time because I'm poor.
Aren't we all? Yeah.
Exactly. Dave, what are you doing? What are you doing to get through this shit? You're doing like online like guitar lessons, right?
Yeah, I am. I've been doing guitar lessons for years. I taught guitar since even before I was in Tesla, so close to 20 years now. And over the last, I basically would come home from a tour, usually home for a month, gone for a month kind of thing most of the year. And when I'm home, I would kind of pick it back up and have my regulars and we'd get back in touch. And over the last maybe 8-10 years, a lot of that moved just online anyways from Skype.
Yeah.
Because it was easier, and a lot of my students were now people in different places and, you know, from touring all over. So
right.
I got people in different countries. And now that, you know, all this has happened and we're not going on tour for a while, I just like, well, I can pick it up back where I was and keep building it. So I'm doing tons and tons of online lessons on Skype, and it's really fun. So luckily, I've got something to help. You know?
Exactly, and you got that flying V behind you, which is your signature Epiphone. Phil, I don't think you don't have a signature guitar, do you?
I do
the
not.
only person in this fucking room.
Gorgeous.
Look at that beautiful one. That is gorgeous. I'd love to play one of those.
I love that the white fretboard. I've always loved that white fretboard, Dave.
That's
on your guitar.
That's badass.
That's really cool. That's really, really cool.
Well, and the thing I love about it too is like usually Epiphone is kind of a joke, but not anymore. I mean, because they're fucking building them to the old school standards.
The Epiphones are great, man. They, like all of them. You know, we've gone on tour all last year. You know, on a day off on tour, what do? Go to a guitar store, of course, and you know, and pick up Epiphones, just random. They're just ones for sale, and like Amarillo or whatever, pick it up. It's like, damn it, this is great. Like, you know, like it's yeah, they're doing really, really well.
That's fucking great, man. And people want to they want to get in touch with you for Skype lessons and all that stuff. Where can they find you?
Yeah, definitely. Please do. All the socials. Instagram is the one I'm on the most, but it's linked to my Twitter and Facebook, so I do check those as well. Just send me a direct message on any of those, and I'll get back to you. I teach all ages, all levels. Like I said, I've been teaching for a long time, so it's fun. I just try and make it fun. I was lucky when I started playing guitar when I was about 9, and with a teacher, and I was really lucky to hook up with a teacher who, you know, he taught me all the basics, but he taught it to me in a way that was fun, and it was
right.
Now as a teacher, I get a lot of people who tell me like horror stories about, oh, my teacher, he taught me all this jazz stuff that I hated, and you know, my fingers hurt, and I didn't want to learn anything, so I quit. And you know, that can really mess you up. So I think it's important to, when you're first starting, especially, to work on what you want to play. You know, there's the fundamentals that everyone should learn, enjoyable, and apply to like a Kiss song or something that you like. You know? So that's what I try to do.
Here's an interesting point, and obviously I'm not trying to take away from that, because kids want to take lessons, they should take lessons, and then people need to learn. But do you think that, and I'm walking all over your shit right now, I feel terrible about it, but I'm not trying to, all of our heroes, they didn't take lessons. They learned by ear, and that's how they created their style, because they just learned by ear, and they kind of learned doing what they do. And Mark, you can chip on this on drums too.
Well, I had that same, you know, whatever, but is, you know, I know Eric Singer is a good friend of mine, and we were talking about how when we were younger, we didn't have YouTube. So when I was listening to that break and how many more times, I had to figure it out. You know, I've been playing drums for 45 years, and, you know, matter of fact, cheap plug, my band's album's coming out, pre-order in a couple weeks. So I'll get you on that, Izzy, so you can help me promote it. But that sort of thing, we had to learn. You know what I mean? I couldn't go, kids today can go right to YouTube, and fuck, if you can't even see Bonham play it, someone's showing you how Bonham plays it.
Here's how you do it.
Yeah,
exactly.
Whereas it helped our generation be more creative, because maybe I didn't learn it the exact way Bonham played it, but I threw my own flair in there. That when I started writing my own songs, that could be a cool bridge or a cool hook or something. And I think that's the advantage of figuring it out yourself without having to go look at YouTube or something. But I gotta admit, I you know, as that technology's there, and I'll tell you, even little things, and you guys will appreciate this when you were younger musicians, because when I was a kid just learning how to play, I didn't understand tracking. And I'll give you the great example. If you know, again, you know, I've been playing drums my whole life. The part in Space Truckin', that's drum part in the middle is tracked. but I couldn't figure out how in the fuck is he.
How is one guy with two arms doing this?
And I'm like, how is that roll increasing and the accents are going? But I must have sat there, with a cassette tape going, and I finally just gave up. And it wasn't until I talked to a friend of mine, at the drum store, and he's like, well, "Hey, kid, dumbass kid, he recorded it and then recorded over it." I'm like, "Oh, but when you're a kid, you don't know that."
Yeah,
but that was part of the. But that was part of the. But it also taught me something. I remember, to work hard on something that especially musically on a section. And I remember the other one too was the Frankenstein thing. I didn't know it at first. I didn't know that was 2/7. You didn't know. You're like, kind of, how the fuck does that kid go? You know what I mean? But those were great things I learned when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I could, if I would have had YouTube, I would not have had that learning experience, I guess is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. And it's like lifting a needle up and going back to get the part. Like, no, that wasn't it. Nope. I gotta go. Yeah. Like that. Like slowing it down. Like that was.
I'd never done that. Cassette tape, yes, not with a record.
Record, cassette tape, and then when I got a CD and I guess 88 when I had CDs, then it was a bit easier to rewind. And
I honestly, I sat down. I was going to play along with the live one on vinyl, and I figured out that my record player, ironically, plays a half step up.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a tinge faster than it's actually exactly a half step up.
Yeah.
I don't know how to change that. I don't know how to fix it. It's not whatever. But it was Goodwill, and it was like $5, whatever.
Another drum part that I, as a kid, again, keep in mind, I'm 12 years old here. I remember trying to learn "Children of the Grave," the dun 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 dun, that those like timbales or what. But the kid, I'm like, what the fuck does he?
While he's playing the beat.
Yeah. I'm like, when you said, I'm like, God, yeah, I certainly remember going back as a kid going, how the hell did he play that?
Yeah, then you would try to figure out that you'd try to play all of it. You didn't know. You'd stumble on something like when you did learn, oh, it's two guys or it's two tracks. Right. I'm like, oh, well, I figured out this, and this is pretty cool. There's I think that's kind of with the visual aspect where you can see them doing it. It takes the guesswork out. It's because we all had to experiment, and doing stuff, and it kind of takes that out of it. So I don't know. Just changes.
Let's do this. Let's go around the thing. We'll start with we'll start with Dave. 5-Man Acoustical Jam, the brand new one. Where can they all find it? And
it just came out a couple weeks ago. It's we made real ones, vinyl, CD, all that stuff, and it's on Apple Music and Spotify, everywhere you can get it. But 5-Man Jam, it's out.
Phil, you got anything exciting to talk about this week as opposed to last week?
I've got, let's see what's happening. Well, we had the Rocket Ride video come out, Stay Inside. The Ace Band put out our video. You wrote the song Rocket Ride. We changed the words to Stay Inside. It's quite good, I think. Now just doing this and wishing I was in Japan right now.
Yeah, right.
Like I was supposed to be. Yeah.
Right. Well, it's funny. I'm recording something with Derek Frank from Shania Twain, and he's the bass player for Shania Twain, and Gwen Stefani, Steve Thackeray from America. The drummer is who played drum? Oh, Mike Bennett from Richie Kotzen, and guitar. Yeah, Thackeray from. We're trying to find the sax player because the sax player couldn't do it, but we're doing Tender Years from Eddie and the Cruisers with me on vocals.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Whoa, Tender Years. So that'll be out soon. And then, oh shit, Eddie Trunk just replied to me. Should we keep going and bring Eddie Trunk in the Aerosmith conversation? It's up to you guys.
That's fine.
Doesn't matter.
All right.
We'll do Eddie, yeah.
All right. Hold on. I'll just reply to him. Yup, still on. I guess we're not going to end. Mark, you said you got something coming up in a couple weeks. Talk about that while I reply to Eddie Trunk.
Oh, my band Left for Dead. It's funny, we were going to release our record on vinyl, but I couldn't. All the fucking presses are closed. You know, we couldn't find.
Of course.
Yeah, we couldn't find anyone to press it. So I just said fuck it finally, because Brandvold's doing all the, the promotion for it and everything, and I said,
of course he is.
Yes. So April 30th is going to be the pre-sale, and then May 29th it's going to be available on iTunes and everywhere, Spotify, all that stuff. So it's funny for me. I'm in a different spot than where you guys are. This will probably be the last. This band it's called Left for Dead. We've been together since like 2000. We put out like 4 records, but this is going to be the first one we're going to press and all that stuff. And matter of fact, Spiro, who used to work for Kiss, who's a good friend of mine, did the artwork. And well, when you see it, especially it's a tip of the hat to the 70s, because we're all big hard rock 70s fans. The name of the record is just LFD, because that's what Left for Dead, that's what everyone calls us. We did it. It's in the style of Foghat Live. It's got instead of the LIVE, it's LFD, and we're a 3-man band.
Nice.
So in each one of the letters is our faces from a live shot. So I'm looking for that. Looking forward to that. 10 songs. Pretty excited about it. I think it's great. Matter of fact, we did a video for it. We're going to be debuting the video in a couple weeks, and pretty excited about the whole thing.
Of course, man, you should be.
It's good hard rock. Again, I always tell people. Matter of fact, the bands I always said, like, if you like Kiss and Aerosmith, you'll probably. Although, to be fair, it's more Kiss, Aerosmith, and I guess a touch of Judas Priest at times. So it's kind of heavier in spots, but also also kind of hard rock in spots. So we kind of go all over the hard rock realm, if you will. But there's no screamo, there's no none of that. It's
right.
That sort of thing. So pretty excited about that. It's funny you said Eddie's going to be on, I guess, because my IM's lit up after that. I guess he mentioned me a week or so ago. I'm going to ask him about it, because I was bitching about, because when I ordered Ordinary Man from Ozzy, I ordered it through Ozzy's website.
Yeah.
And
I do remember talking about that.
For a week later. And all my buddies who went to like Amazon and shit, they got it that day. And I'm like, I went to the Ozzy website because I thought the official website would be the best place to get it from. I figured I'd have it the day. Matter of fact, I paid extra for postage, so it would, get it there the day of the release. Well, they totally dropped the ball. 10 days later, I still hadn't got it, and then they sent me a digital code. I'm like, hey, motherfuckers, you should have sent that to me the day of.
Right?
Because here I am on Facebook. All my friends are talking about the new Ozzy, and I'm like, where'd you get yours? Oh, I just ordered through Amazon. And I'm like, and then the other guy, I went and got it at Target or whatever. And I'm like, motherfucker, I bought it off the Ozzy Osbourne official site, and I still don't have it.
That's fucking funny.
Well, anyways, Eddie mentioned that because I was bitching about it on 3 Sides. And
yeah.
There he is.
There he is.
Ladies and gentlemen, Eddie Trunk. He's got his audio off and his video off. Dave, just so you know, but while Eddie's figuring this shit out, when Lizzie Hale was on Eddie a week ago, and she sent him one of her Epiphones. Just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Yeah. see what strings I can pull.
Yeah, right. You want to see my? I'll show you my V. I got a V.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Hold on.
I've got 2, so I call mine the Flying W. White and red. Oh yeah, I got the white one too.
It's an 89.
Ooh, that's pretty, man. I love it.
And ironically, it belonged to Bryn from Flip.
Eddie!
I just figured out how to do this on iPhone. I've never done it on an iPhone before.
I was gonna say, whenever you do three sides, you always do it by audio. I've never seen you do.
Yeah, what's up? How are you, man?
Yeah, doing well. By the way, I was just telling these guys, my IM's lit up. I guess you mentioned my rant on the Ozzy thing.
Oh, yeah, because I was, I'm a listener, and I heard you go off about ordering and not getting it on time and all that, and then there was people accusing them of selling stamped autograph CDs. So I was saying, it's not the first time, and then I referenced that you had that issue and mentioned it.
God, it's just terrible. You want to support the artists directly. At least that's the way I thought was the right way to do it. And I was just telling these guys about it. I'm like, they didn't send me a fucking digital download till 10 days later. And I still did, I didn't get my merch till after that. And I'm like, I paid extra to get it in the mail the day it was released. That's the whole thing. And the customer service was just terrible. So I learned my lesson. I'll just go through Amazon like everybody else. So.
Yeah, right. Eddie, to get you caught up, we've talked about everything Aerosmith for the last hour and a half. What was your introduction to Aerosmith? Let's start at the beginning.
Let's talk about Rod Stewart. That's all I wanted to say.
Oh, that is fucking gold. Hold on.
That's my patented line now when anybody asks me anything.
Oh, that gets a Pat Fontaine.
Greatest line ever.
I know. Dave, did you see that? Did you guys see that? Hold on, Eddie. Did Mark and Dave, did you guys see that?
See it.
Oh my God.
I love Rod Stewart.
So Paul was on doing an interview with Richard Marx on Skype, and Richard Marx they were talking about Tony Bennett, and he's like, well, let's talk about another singer that's fucking great.
Yes, I did see that. Yes, I did see that.
And what about fucking Steven Tyler? I mean, he's fucking 72 years old. He's still fucking killing it, yada, yada, yada. And Paul just does one of these. Can we talk about Rod Stewart?
I did see that.
It's so awkward. The most awkward, uncomfortable thing. And Richard Marx is like, are we going to have a fight now or something? And it was so bizarre. And I was just like, oh my God, I'm in such good company with people this guy doesn't like. Me and Steven Tyler.
Well, there's got to be more to that story that we don't know.
Well, here's what I think. So I think there's rivalry. I think there's competition. I think that there's jealousy because as much as I'm a Kiss fan, Aerosmith is, at the Grammys and Music Cares and all this stuff and has all this reverence. And Tyler is amazing still. And Richard Marx said is absolutely true. He's the one guy in that age that is just unbelievable still on every level. I think all of that. And then there's a couple things. First of all, like 8 years ago, Tyler called Kiss a comic book band. And we know that Paul holds grudges and is super sensitive. And the other thing is the Aerosmith Kiss thing goes back to the early 70s when they were touring in clubs. If you read the books, like there was a rivalry to the point that their road crews pulled knives on each other. Like
that was here.
Wow.
That was here in Detroit.
Wow. So obviously they toured together once, but obviously I think all of that factored in the stew. It just equates to something that he's not going to talk about.
Well, I heard something about maybe Tyler might have been a dick on that fucking Kiss Aerosmith tour.
I don't know about that. I just know that Paul got real, like, understandably not happy when he called Kiss a comic book band or some variation of that.
I thought that was Joey Kramer doing, because I know he was running his mouth, which I thought was really bad business at the time. That Joey Kramer was ripping on Kiss. I don't remember Steven as much. Matter of fact, I think Peter Criss referenced that in his book, that Joey Kramer was being an asshole on it.
Peter said in his book, he said that Joe Perry was a dick to him.
Really? I'm surprised because Joe went out and played with them.
I thought Joe was the one guy in Aerosmith that liked Kiss.
He does.
I thought Joe dogged him.
But Joe just comes off like a grumpy old man anytime you talk to him anyways. So maybe that's just the feel they got, even though he wasn't being a douche. I don't know.
Anyway, to answer your question, Izzy, you asked me what my entry to Aerosmith was?
Yeah.
So Aerosmith was the first band I let into my world after Kiss. Like for the first two, when I discovered Kiss, it was nothing but Kiss for 2 years, pretty much. Like literally every part of my room, every poster, everything. And the first band that wasn't Kiss that I let in was I put the poster for Live Bootleg up. And that album to me is still unbelievably great and unbelievably underrated live record. So that's probably where I started. And then I went and worked backwards. And I love Rockin' a Hard Place, and I loved Night in the Ruts, but Rocks is my all-time favorite album.
All right. How do you feel about the newer stuff?
I think the last record, if they cut 5 songs off of it, would have been and made it, killed some of the ballads, would have been an okay record. I don't think it was a great record. I love Pump. I like Permanent Vacation. Even though the band hates it, I really like Done with Mirrors. But I was totally out on just Push Play. My least favorite Aerosmith record. 9 Lives, okay. So up and down, but Pump I love. I think Pump is the best of second wave. And but I love bands at weird parts of their careers. So I love Rockin' Hard Place, and I love Night in the Ruts is in probably my
Night
top.
in the Ruts. We were singing those phrases for Night in the Ruts earlier. Those are kind of like, to me, those two records are like this Technical Ecstasy and Never Say Die. It's like they never get included in the conversation of those bands, and they should. Night in the Ruts is phenomenal. Like, it's so good.
I once asked Joe Perry about Rockin' a Hard Place, because for those that aren't hardcore Aerosmith fans, it's the only record he's never been on. And I asked him, I said, "You ever hear the record, and what do you think of it?" And he said, "Yeah, I don't like it." And I said, "Why don't you like it? Because you're not on it?" And he said, "No, I don't like it because I'm not on it, and it's a good record."
Exactly. I know exactly what you're referencing. You realize that they did play Lightning Strikes with him live.
Yeah, and he used to go see them when he wasn't in the band, which is crazy.
Did you read Mark Bell's book?
No, I didn't know he had one.
Fantastic. I
Really?
just found out it's probably around Christmas time, and I ordered it. I did not know he kept a daily journal, and the book is based. And he goes literally, today is Detroit, the next day is Cleveland, and he lists what they did. I'm sure you're just as much. I'm a big Joe Perry geek. I love the Joe Perry project stuff, but and I'm going to be honest, I wasn't that was the only record I really didn't like a lot. I just mocked hell. But the book's phenomenal, and it really, I tell you what, doesn't, and it's not a what do you call that? He's not just dishing dirt. He's just reading out of his journal. So, I mean, Joe comes off a bit not that great at times, but it's nothing, he's not being pissy about it. You know what I mean? He's just, Joe was in bad shape back then. And totally. Because if you read that book, and then I read Serinda's book a few years back, those guys were in bad, both Steven and Joe in the early 80s were not in good places whatsoever.
But I love Let the Music Do the Talking. That album is incredible, dirty, raw rock record. So great. I was
Life at a glance.
I was checked out on the Mock Bell record, but the Let the Music Do the Talking is amazing. I've been on Ace Frehley, no joke, for 30 years to cover a song on Let the Music Do the Talking called Shooting Star.
Oh, love it.
Yeah, okay.
It would be a perfect song for him. Lyrically, the lyric is like, "My brand new spaceship is stellar bound."
Yep.
It's got his vocal register. The riff is him. And it's a deep track on an obscure record, and no one would know he didn't even write it unless they looked at the credit. So I've been telling him for 30 years to do that song. I've sent it to him like 15 times. I'm jammed up right now, Curly.
Awesome.
Philip, that's your mission. Play it for him now.
I'll do it.
I love it.
We'll get two of them on it. So I sent him the video, and I still didn't hear anything back from him. So I don't know.
I'll send it to him now. We'll bombard him with that too.
Do it.
He's weird. know if he's been like this with you, but he's like a barrage texter. Like one day I'll get like 15 texts from him and it'll be all over on the text. And then like he'll drop out for 4 or 5 days and not respond.
It'll be like a bunch of jokes and memes.
Yeah.
In a row and then nothing.
Yes.
Silence for like a week. Yep.
David, shut up over there. Why are you talking so much?
Are you getting summoned to like fucking go put together lawn furniture or something, or what's going on?
I got a few more minutes. I got to go give myself.
Dude, you got to balance. You got to balance, man. It's all good.
I got a few more minutes. I'm good.
Hey, Dave, the live in London is killer, man.
Thank you so much, Eddie.
Unplugged.
Thanks, dude. I haven't got a copy yet. Speaking of not getting the records in the mail, I've seen them. I signed a few before we left on this. Came home from the last tour, but no, I haven't actually seen it in real life. So I'm looking forward to that.
They're always the last to get copies of their own records.
Always, dude. Right?
Yeah.
Eddie, it's funny. I was just giving Dave shit before you came on that. It's like Lizzie was just on your show, and she sent you her fucking Epiphone guitar, and Dave now has an Epiphone V.
I've seen it.
And it's beautiful. It's right behind him. You know, I'm just saying. I'll message you my address. You know.
Wait, Izzy, he didn't send you one. He sent me 3 of them.
Jesus Christ. Well, yeah, you're Eddie Trunk. I'm Izzy Presley. I mean, come on.
I don't have one. I still haven't
Oh,
taken.
yeah, you don't have one. You have 3 of them.
Three.
I took Lizzie's out of the case and looked at it and then put it back in. It hasn't moved since because I want to learn how to play. I can't play one note, and I really want to learn to at least play something on it.
Start with Smoke on the Water and go.
Great guitar. That Lizzie's the Explorer.
Yeah,
that's nice.
That's cool.
That's fucking badass. Fucking badass. Very badass. All right, so where were we on Aerosmith?
You asked me about my start with Aerosmith.
Yeah, your start. Yeah,
which was around the time where Joe Perry was kind of out of the band, you know. And the first time I saw him live was with Jimmy Crespo. And Crespo told me a great story once that he had just joined the band. And contrary to what a lot of people think, Crespo was not a drug guy. And he was playing in the band, and like 3 shows in, he said that he turned around and Tyler was like on his back on the stage, flat laid out, and he was playing. He kept playing, and he hadn't done that many shows with them yet, so he didn't know what was going on. And he thought, oh, this is some bit where Steven pretends to pass out, and maybe as the song builds up, he climbs the mic stand and stands up again. And then the part where he's supposed to be singing happens, and he's still on his back, and he's the new guy, and he said he didn't want to like stop. So he went over in the middle of the show, in the middle of the crowd, and looks down on Tyler and starts kicking him with his boot in the rib to see if he's going to get up in the middle of the show. Like you said, I mean, those guys are upness, man.
Jesus.
Oh my God, that's fucking gold.
Yeah,
that's fucking gold.
Very sacred to me, though. My of the bands I grew up with, the most sacred currently, because they still think they're great. I went to 2 shows on the Vegas residency and seeing how good they still are and totally real and raw. And they fucked up like 3 times that night, and I was like, "This is the most glorious, beautiful fuck up I've ever seen." Like, it's the way it's
right.
Real, dirty rock and roll, and they were calling off songs, and it was fucking great. Last 2 songs Joey Kramer did actually before he had, he was replaced for a while.
He's still there. I was at the show in November, and it was still the tech, who did a great job. But...
Yeah,
right.
John. Yeah, I saw John with him too. Yeah, he did great.
Apparently, he stepped in on that first time, like on 3 hours' notice. And someone was telling me today, I did an interview with Brent Fitz and Todd Kearns that's going to air on my show on Thursday. I recorded it today, and they were telling me that that John Douglas, I guess, was Brent's tech for Slash, and also worked for ZZ Top and a bunch of bands. And he's had that happen to him like 3 or 4 times where he's had to step in and play drums, including for Fitz, because Fitz was on the road and had a retina detachment, and John Douglas stepped in and played the Slash set. The guy's like super versatile, apparently.
He's no Eddie Cannon though.
Right. That's Isn't there a bootleg, the Ed Cannon Experience?
There is the one show. So I don't know if you guys know though, but Peter Criss last minute. I think was it in Atlanta? I forget exactly where.
Columbus, Georgia.
That's it. I knew it was in Georgia. So so they slapped on the makeup and blasted out the music, as Alice would say. But
we talked. It's funny you talk about that. It's like we talked about this last week on the Kiss one. Bunny Carlos has been on record saying that when they recorded Live 2, Cheap Trick was opening up, and Peter was so fucked up that they had Bunny in makeup ready to go to play with Kiss.
I never heard that. Really?
Yeah, dude, it's in an interview. I saw it. It's in a fucking interview. Yeah.
Glasses, cigarette.
You gotta take the tie off. Come on.
Well, I didn't know that Gene likes him as a drummer a lot. I know a lot of the geeky Kiss stuff, but I never bought that story that they would have had him in make. I'm not saying it's not true, but I'd never heard that. I know that both Ace and Peter put quite scares in them at times, if they were going to make it, but I don't know if it ever went to Bunny actually being.
Hey, Mark. So last week I dropped in on this like I just did, right? And Izzy had a guy on here from the Killer Dwarfs telling everybody that the drums on Kiss Revenge were programmed and not real drums, to the point that I had to email Bob Ezrin, and he's like, what are you talking about? Of course they're live drums. So Izzy perpetuates stuff.
No.
Have a disclaimer on the screen.
Like the Alex Jones of Rock and Roll Podcast.
Put it this way. I've talked to Eric Singer about the drumming on that record in detail, so much so that he did play a version of Take It Off, but then Ezrin had Kevin Valentine redo the take. So that entire record is Eric Singer, except for
hold on, because I was texting with Jerry from the Dwarfs the next day, and I told him what you said, Ed, and he's like,
"No, what Ezrin said, the guy who."
Oh yeah, exactly, yeah. What Ezrin said, what you responded to me with, and I go, well, maybe at that time it was Drum Machine doing demos,
maybe,
during writing, and he goes, yeah, that could have been it. So,
well, that's a big difference than saying the album.
Big difference.
The record.
Well,
yeah.
Well, in Jerry's defense, he was rather intoxicated last Tuesday.
I wish you had that was like Infowars.com.
It's the Illuminati. It's all about the Illuminati.
Hey, did any of being that this is, let's steer this back to Aerosmith. I never bought South of Sanity. Did any of you guys even hear that record?
Yeah.
Any good?
Yeah.
Was that a live?
It was a live record from Palm Beach. It was killer.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah, I own. See, I quit at Pump. I just didn't like the way it sounded. Just thought everything was so. I don't know. Speaking of, drum machines, that damn near sounds like one just on that record. But that was when I got off. It was the last time I'd seen them. I said I wouldn't go back and see them anymore. And then I did when the Slash tour happened a couple of years ago. But I don't know, they seem to just the Holly Knight song or whoever that is that's writing for it just lost that bluesy hard rock edge. I think the last song I really, really liked was Voodoo Medicine Man off of Pump. I think that's a dynamite song. And it was great that they played it live because it really enhanced that bluesy feel. But man, oh man, I just had a hard time with everything after that. I tried. I mean, there's some, I think singles wise, Fall in Love with Whatever is Hard on the Knees. I think that sounds like it could have been older Aerosmith. I like that song. But I didn't like Living on the Edge at all. I don't know, all the crying and the amazing.
Yeah, I wasn't big on Get a Grip, but I do like the song Crying. And on Pump, I love Fine.
Yeah, I like that one.
I love Monkey on My Back.
Monkey's good.
That record production wise is very much a sign of the times. It's got that, big Bob Rock sort of vibe going on, but I like it. I mean, it was, it's a pretty revved up record. Young Lust. I mean, it's a kick-ass record. I like a lot of it on there, but look, nothing touches Rocks and Toys and Night Rocks. Right. All the line. I mean, Kings and Queens is, one of my all-time favorites. So, and stuff even on Get Your Wings, I mean, Seasons of Wither and all that is just insane. But I do like scattered stuff beyond that. And of that second wave, I do like Pump a lot. It's funny, the band doesn't like Done with Mirrors, and I really do. And I read Ted Templeman's book that just came out, and he talked about making that record because that's the one album he produced. And he was in line to do even though that album tanked, he was going to do Permanent Vacation. And they had dialogue about it. And they were supposed to start doing it. And I think he said, instead he went and did Sammy Hagar's, I think the VOA record or something, because he had a conflict with his schedule and they didn't want to wait for him. So that's when they ended up getting Fairburn to do Permanent Vacation, which obviously worked out. But it would have been interesting if Templeman did that as well, because the band doesn't like Done with Mirrors because that was supposed to be their sober comeback, and they really weren't sober. They weren't sober till Permanent Vacation. They were still fucked up on Done with Mirrors. But My Fist to Your Face is a great
Izzy's never heard it.
No. I'm just thinking, okay, you're going to have your comeback sober record with a record called Done with Mirrors.
Yeah. It's all backwards. All the text is backwards on.
But Phil, they later changed that because it was such a bad market.
Oh, my record still's backwards.
Yeah, there's versions of it with it backwards and forwards. Yeah.
That is a pretty bad marketing.
If that's not a cocaine reference, I don't know what is, fucking Ward.
That was a great tour. I in Detroit, I want to say, I could be wrong because they didn't do the tour proper, but I want to say that Armored Saint opened that show. And it was a one-off thing because I remember on the radio they said like whoever was supposed to open didn't. And I think that it was Armored Saint that played the one date with them there.
My brother saw him with Nugent on that tour. So Ted opened up for the one he saw.
Oh, not in Detroit. That wouldn't happen. The only time I ever saw Ted open in Detroit was with Kiss.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it was in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Ted could still play Kobo. That's what a couple weeks ago we had Ted on Three Sides of the Coin. And I was trying to explain to some friends. I was actually doing another friend's podcast. And they were like, well, Ted just plays, here, whatever, 1,500,000 seaters. I'm like, don't you understand what it's regional? I said, I'll give you a great example. And this is a verbatim example. In 2019, I saw Ted at Pine Knob, and I saw Alice Cooper played at Pine Knob that summer too. We have a place in Tampa. I saw Alice Cooper at Ruth Eckerd Hall, and Ted Nugent played at Ruth Eckerd Hall. Ruth Eckerd Hall only holds 1,500 people or whatever. Right. That's the regionality of it. I mean,
totally.
Not everybody, because I think New Yorkers in general, because my friend was from New York, I'm like, they seem to think that the Misfits are an arena band or something. I mean, you take them out of New York, they're lucky if they, draw anything, Yeah. I know here in Detroit, they play a little club or something. Whereas in New York, they play, I don't know where exactly they play, but they play.
That's a weird thing because the Misfits, I think, are one of those things they did play a small stadium in LA on this reunion tour.
They did.
Then they played an arena in New Jersey,
they did the Forum.
Yeah, well, they're from Jersey, but the thing is that's one of those bands, and I know it's not my kind of thing, but I know that they have fans. I'm not saying they don't. But that's also one of those bands where the T-shirt and the logo and the marketing is bigger than the band. There's a ton of people that wear those shirts that couldn't name you one song from that band. And I think they got so caught up in the whole reunion aspect of it and look, nothing drives up a band's draw and guarantee than going away. I mean, look at My Chemical Romance, look at Rage Against the Machine, look at System of a Down. These bands playing to 30,000 people when they come back. If they were touring every year, they'd be in sheds, with anyone else. So that's a big part of it too. The Misfits were away for so long that the whole mystique and then, the hot topic aspect of it, everybody running around wearing their shirts. Oh, I got to go to this. I think that's a big part of that.
Absolutely. All right. We just got a couple minutes left here. Dave, we covered your shit. People want to find you to get lessons and all that shit. Please hit your stuff one more time.
Just, Instagram's the main one, but Facebook, Twitter too. But any of those, just send me a direct message and you can get in touch and set up some lessons.
Sounds good.
I was interested.
Phil, people want to find you?
All the socials, Instagram, Facebook. I'm not really on Twitter, but you can find me on those two. I go live and do silly things, so come join me.
Very cool. Mark, you guys next week on Three Sides, what do you guys have?
The coin. We got, I can't remember the guy's name, but from Fireball Ministry, big Kiss fan. We just recorded a couple hours ago.
Reverend Jim?
Yes.
Yeah.
Really, really good guy. Big Kiss fan. We had a ton of fun.
Yeah.
Cool. Eddie, and you recorded for tomorrow?
Yeah, I had Vinny Appice today. I had Sully Erna last week. I had David Coverdale on Monday. Tomorrow is going to be tomorrow I'm doing top 5 bass players.
Yeah, you are.
Thursday is Fitz and Kearns. And I just heard today, fingers crossed, hopefully I can go back to live shows maybe in a couple weeks. So
nice.
That'll be great if that happens. But in the meantime, yeah, I'm doing some some fun stuff, and gonna try to do a virtual I'm actually gonna try to do this on Friday with callers. I don't know, my PD's putting it together, but we'll see. But you can hear me every day, 2 to 4, 10 to midnight on Sirius XM 106 volume. And for people that don't have Sirius or XM until May 15th, they're letting everybody hear it free on the app streaming, so you can listen if you want. If you're a subscriber with the app right now, and Twitter and Instagram are my 2 main things, just at Eddie Trunk.
Cool. And if you're paying for Sirius and XM, you still have to pay, even though it's free for everybody else. All right. Dave Rude, Tesla, Phil Shouse, Ace Frehley, Gene Simmons, except Mark Cicchini, Three Sides of the Coin. And I'm an Eddie Trunk wannabe. What can I say? I mean, come on, what the fuck?
You better set your bar higher than that, Izzy.
I don't know. Did you read my shit for fucking tomorrow's show?
I didn't yet, but it's not going to make tomorrow's show because it came in late.
Oh my God!
Friday,
I fucking
Friday,
said it
Friday.
Early. Friday. God damn it! Tomorrow's Wednesday. I'm gonna
because
cry.
Thursday, because I talked so long with Fitz and Kearns that Thursday is going to eat up their whole. We talked about they're doing the thing with Bruce Kulick. We talked about all kinds of good stuff.
Right.
So that's going to be
all right. Well, just read the whole thing then. Just read the whole thing then.
By the way, Phil, but you might have talked about this, but you saw what Philip and Jeremy and Ryan did with Rocket Ride, right? Everybody saw that. Brilliant.
Absolutely.
Brilliant.
Thanks, Eddie.
Fucking beautiful. You guys want to donate? izzypresley at yahoo.com is your PayPal. Real Izzy Presley on the fucking Venmo thingy. And Cash App is $ Izzy Presley. My name is Izzy Presley. And what I lack in talent, I make up for in cock. It's been another fucking podcast. I'll be back on Thursday. And next Tuesday is the Van Halen Drunken Summit. I say good day.